Okay, folks, so it is turn 18. Now, you may notice I staled last turn. Actually, everybody staled last turn. This game was supposed to be paused over the holidays, and it turned out it wasn't. The host of the game did not successfully pause the game. So, unfortunately, because this is a direct connect game, there is no way to roll the turn back because we're going over snake.earth, and apparently that's just not something they can do. So, just kind of have to live with it. So, unfortunately, what that means is my army got caught in Black Alps and attacked by all of Raga's army, and my army was not geared up to fight all of Raga's army. So here we have Dual Rainbow, the Arch Seraph was here, he had a bunch of his mages here, he had a big old line of Turin heavy infantry. In the back he had a very large posse of Savaran guards, and he had 4 Ziyedins, plus a few ice-clad Ziyedins, who are much worse, but do have high prot and defense skill. On my side, of course, I have my big old line of Gittite soldiers, I have my small pack of Bone Fiends, I have my small mage corps, including 1 Yedonai, I have my crossbows, and over here I have my gang of Gibbors. So, as the fight begins, my troops advance, his Savaran guard charge in on the sides, and they actually make it around this flank. This is critical because these Bone Fiends, you can see, actually intercept these Savaran guards, but these Savaran guards get in and they kill Shammai the Yedonai. In killing Shammai, they've removed all undead leadership from the field, and as such, my Bone Fiends are now without undead leadership and will crumble because they are mindless, which means they never rout, and there's no more undead leadership, so they're just going to die. Down here, my Gibbors are fighting the Ziyedins. They don't trade fantastically with Ziyedins, but they trade okay. Some of them have gotten caught up on the Savaran Guard. So you can see here, it's actually, there were 4 of them. And the Gibbors are actually chewing through them pretty well. Yeah, those 4 are landing. So 4 against 5, this trade actually goes in my favor because I have the Withering Weapons and the Unholy Weapons. So I do a bunch of extra damage, and then I also decay them, which means that even after they turn into Griffin form, they continue to take the decay damage. My crossbows, before they got totally tangled up here, fired a few good volleys and killed some mages, but my line up here, Gittite soldiers, one-on-one like this, just cannot deal with Savaran Guard. So the Savaran Guard are taking very few casualties, and they're just munching through the Gittites. They charge through, I break, everyone runs, and it is a slaughter. Now, fortunately, 2 of these guys actually wither to death, and the last one ends up with 7 hit points and 3 afflictions, weakened, limp, and battle fright. So, yeah, I got rid of most of the Ziyedins, but overall this battle was a disaster. I lost my Bone Fiends, of course. You can see I took some casualties taking the province. I lost my Yedonai, I lost a Sibyl and a Sage. I don't know, oh yeah, that was the Sage that had the Astral random. My crossbowmen got some kills, my Gibbors got some kills. You can see my Gittite soldiers, almost no kills. 1 kill. However, I did kill a Zautar and 2 Athravans, so in terms of mages, yeah, that's good. That's good mage kills. I killed 2 of his Ice-clad Ziyedins. I actually permanently killed 3 of his Ziyedins, so 1 of them survived, 3 of them died. You can see the Gibbors actually do okay against Ziyedins. And I only killed 1 of his Turin heavy infantry. So overall, that battle was, as I said, a disaster. In terms of resources lost, it was actually kind of close, but only because his army represents, resources mainly in terms of gold, actually. I know it's a little bit confusing that there's actually a resource called resources. In terms of gold lost, it was closer than it looks, but my Gibbors, 9 of them is 630 gold. 24 Gittites is another like 750, so that's a lot. That's like 1,500 gold right there. Plus everything else. The Yedonai was 130, the Sibyl... Yeah, I lost more, because I lost about 1,000 gold all told, plus the Blood Slaves and the Bone Fiends, which don't really matter. So I lost about 1,000, he lost 200, 410, that's another 40, so 250. The Savaran Guards are pretty good grip, but that's like 500 and something. 3 Ziyedins is the majority of it. He came out a little bit ahead in terms of resources lost, and of course he just, like I said, he just had a lot more committed. He had 1,600 gold of Savaran Guards here. I didn't have 16, I think if you added all this up, I didn't have 1,600 gold. In any case, so we lost that battle, because we got caught when we shouldn't have, so that's a bummer, but it'll be alright. Over here, Master Blaster once again was not binding Bone Fiends this turn for reasons I can't fully explain. But we are moving to retake Millgate. We've got another 26 Bone Fiends and 7 Gibbors, so they're rolling down to do that. We're recruiting 2 Gibbors and a Giddite. Actually, no, we need another Gibbor here. The Gibbors are pretty much our only units that are worth a damn against the Savarans and such. Up here, still pumping out crossbows. He's probably going to move this army to attack me now. Like, if I was him, I definitely would. He'll take some casualties from the province defense, but not much, because they don't have the crossbows anymore. They're all infantry. So we have some crossbows here who will hold and fire large monsters. We've got a guy way in the back. And we'll actually have Yamin patrol as well. So they'll patrol. I could send in the Gibbors, but I kind of want to save them, and I want to clear out these pirates and retake this province for the resources and the income and all that. So he might actually split this army and take both these provinces. Take that, put this province under siege. If he does that, there's really not much I can do about it. Unfortunately, I really just kind of lost my chance. So the war has now swung temporarily once more against me, but once again, he's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8 provinces. So he only outnumbers me in provinces by a little bit, and he doesn't have a chaff generation mechanism nearly as efficient as binding Bone Fiends. So I've still got that going for me. I can still churn out 13 chaff units per round no matter what. And if I can get a couple of Yadonai on the field, then I'll have the research to not, the leadership to not have that happen to me again, especially because they'll be able to cast Stone Skin on themselves, as well as the Pierce Resistance, so then they'll take very little damage. It'll help. It'll help. So, the goal is to take Millgate back, fall back on Gath, pump out a whole bunch of units, and storm out again. With the help of the Gibbors and the Bone Fiends, with those mainly making up my armies and crossbow support, I think I can do it. I still think I can do it. We've had a setback, it's been a problem, but we can make it through. I could recruit a couple of Giddites here. 1 Giddite, 4 crossbows. Yeah. It's worth sacrificing 1 crossbow to have a little bit more by way of infantry. Or should I start pumping out Zebulonites? The Zebulonites just aren't going to be worth much in this fight. Asherites might be, but I don't have the resources for them. I could have 2. And 1 crossbow. Yeah, I don't know about that. I really like having the crossbows. But man, those Giddites really did nothing. They did nothing. Wow. You can see Phlegra is taking these provinces from Raga, which is fine. I may actually need their help, but if they come in, they probably won't let me have Searing Sands, which is kind of the whole point behind this. So we'll just see. We'll just see how things go. In any case, that's turn 18. Really kind of a bummer, but if I hadn't... It's a huge bummer, actually, because if I hadn't staled that turn, because I wouldn't have been there, because my army would not have sat there for a turn, letting him know exactly what I had in exactly what formation, I would have... I don't know. If I'd seen the size of the army that he'd gathered, I probably would have made a different choice than to go into Raga like I've been talking about. But, whatever. It is what it is. We'll see how it goes. Just one setback after another. In any case, I still think we have a shot. Like I said, I think we can do this. Joman has recruited all of the mercenaries. That's impressive. And I'll see you all in turn 19. Okay, it's turn... I can't actually read that. I think it's turn 19. I feel like it is. What is it? Fall in year 1 of the Ascension Wars. Yeah, I feel like that. It's turn 19. For reasons that I cannot fully explain, Raga has not attacked me. He's got his big ol' army of Savaran Guard down here. He's got his Savaran Guard up there. He's got some troops up there. He's doing really well in terms of, like fighting powers. And he's decided not to come take all my provinces away while I was busy, so Yay me. I got 700 gold from Pythium for selling my blood slaves to him. One of my Iskarite sages died of a disease. That will happen more. Avishai is going to go next turn, as is Javan, which is unfortunate. But I am still alive. I retook Millgate at the cost of about 6 Bone Fiends. I'm going to... This is actually I almost consider it a bit of an exploit. I haven't been doing it because I haven't been thinking about it, but in terms of provinces, if you have a troop in a province, like a unit, plus 6 province defense, it outright cancels most of the Lost a Province events, like the one that just hit Millgate. The Barbarian attacks, the Knight attacks, all that sort of thing. Most of them are canceled by having that specific combination of things in a province. So we're just going to recruit a guy in every province here. We're also going to start pumping out scouts there. Are there scouts in Millgate? There are scouts in Millgate. Let's go back to pumping out scouts in Millgate, because I temporarily, very temporarily, have some money. I'm going to use some of that money to build a giant fortress in the Woods of Weeping, which is going to reduce Gath's resources still further, which is unfortunate. But they should still have the resources necessary to pump out 3 Gibbors, and that's really what's important. Plus, it'll give more resources to Woods of Weeping, which I can use to recruit, and more recruitment points, which I'll be able to use to recruit more crossbows. And crossbows are going to be... crossbows are key. Crossbows are very much key. So we've got Anti-Entity here gathering up some troops. We've got Dotan. We're going to give him these Bone Fiends. We're still binding more Bone Fiends. So we're up to 30 of them at the moment. These guys... This army I can't stop, really. It's mainly just a bunch of Savaran Guard with heavy infantry in front. My total forces can't really fight it at the moment, because my total forces right now are 15 crossbows, 3 Gibbors, and approximately 30 Bone Fiends, who are not great troops. Now, we've got more crossbows coming out up here, which is fine, but yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, to be honest. To be honest, it is a little bit of a bummer. We're just stuck on the defensive right now. That's all. That's all there is to it. We're trapped on the defensive, and we're not going anywhere. Anti-Entity, we're going to leave Raphael and Zariel there to research. Anti-Entity, don't need Chiram. Go up there. Chiram can, like, preach. Perform blood sacrifice. I could do that. I could. It's a thing I could do. In terms of research, we're just bumming our way down Alteration, trying to get to the prot buffing spells, which, when used on Bone Fiends, will make them crazy more valuable. Crazy more valuable. For that, we're going to need more Issacarite Sibyls, unfortunately, which means we'll also need a lab up here in the Woods of Weeping. So I'm hoping to save up enough money to do that pretty soon, and then I'll have another place where I can recruit Sibyls. So that would be nice. Shimshon is just still blood hunting right now, gathering up some blood Slavs. We're actually going to give 10 of those to this guy, and have him go drop them off in the lab. And yeah, this is certainly not where I would hope to be at this point of a normal game, but it is where I am, so let's make the best of it. So these guys are going to come back to the capital. They're going to pick up another couple turns of blood slaves and meet up with eventually meet up with Anti-Entity, and we're going to try another big drive. At this point, I'm behind the troop curve, and I think Raga can mostly equal my production for a while, since they have 2 forts, one of which, yeah, they have 2 forts, one of which is already upgraded while mine is not, and they have more territory. So they're probably drawing more stuff from their territory. So we'll just kind of see. There's not much province defense here, to be honest. So if I might be able to like ambush it with a crossbow attack, which would be sort of hilarious, and low investment. Yeah, that's actually sort of a thought, because like I doubt he's moving here. If anything, he's probably going to attack Golem range with his Savaran Guard and all. And Anti-Entity can't reach Golem range to defend it, so 16 crossbowmen are a big loss for me at the moment, though. I'd rather kind of hold on to them and get those 5. That'll be 21, plus the the 15 that Auntie Antony are leading. That'll be 36 crossbows, which is a fairly mighty force in this this particular little shitty war we're fighting. So we're just gonna hold on to it. Jomon is expanding nicely. Go Jomon. Doing well. Good on ya. Oh, Hoburgs. That's amazing. That's a fantastic province. Boy, I wish I had that province. That province would be so great. In any case, what I think I might do, because Abysia has not taken Rimire yet, and Raga has White Forest, so I think I might go take Rimire. I think I might do that. Because I can go... I can just bring everybody over here, send in a bunch of Bone Fiends and stuff. I can take Rimire. It'll be a garbage province, but it'll have something. I'm barely sure I can afford that kind of diversion of forces. Like, for real. Yeah, I can't. I can't really afford that diversion of forces. I'm baffled as to why Raga didn't attack me last turn. In his position, I would absolutely have taken Valadoon and Woods of Weeping, just locked Woods of Weeping down, and then retaken Golem Range probably the same turn with troops from these two forts. And, like, that would have crippled me. I would have just been hunkering in Gath, just praying to Master Blaster. But, he didn't, so I'm okay, I guess. In terms of higher level blood spells, I could start binding devils if I researched another level or two of blood. I could start with Master Blaster, but once again, anything Master Blaster does has to be weighed against 13 Bone Fiends. So I'm just going to have him keep churning out Bone Fiends forever. Maybe someday we will actually beat Raga, but I may have to get somebody involved. I may have to bring in Phlegra. Phlegra's taken these two provinces from Raga. May have to bring him in to take some others. That'd be super disappointing, but I don't really have a whole lot of other options at the moment. I'll keep thinking about it. I don't have to make that decision right now. Right now, I'm just kind of concentrating forces in order to make another thrust. And as long as he keeps... I mean, at this point, he's ahead of the curve enough that it'll probably take me 6 or 7 turns to build up the forces to effectively challenge him. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. So, that's the depressing turn 19, and we'll see you all in hopefully the less depressing turn 20. I'm so hopeful. Alright, folks, turn 20. It kind of looks like Raga's lost their army. The army that was here, of Phlegra, has disappeared. I don't have any vision in this province, but I can see this province because it's near my dominion. Our dominion is clashing in these provinces, so I get to see who's there. And he had 60 units here last turn, now he has 10. I can't think of a reason to leave just randomly 10 units here, which, well, like I said, which makes me think that he's actually just gone ahead and lost his army. So, we're moving troops up into Golem range, and we're concentrating forces here. We've got about 40 Bone Fiends, about 36 crossbows, and then only 3 Gibbors, unfortunately. But we do have 3 Necromancers, and they can spam Earthmite onto the Bone Fiends. That's actually really important because it pushes their damage up to the point where they can do damage past Savarin and Turin Prat. So what we're doing is we're collapsing those forces together. Our troops we've got a random event in Millgate. A group of Zealots has joined your armies. That's actually big. These are Flagellants, so they're garbage units, and they start with... they pretty much all start with Afflictions, but they're sacred, so we can apply our Bless to them, and they're free. And they're very vulnerable to missiles, but he's not using a whole lot of missiles. So we're going to grab a commander here in Millgate. We're moving... Who are we moving down to? We're moving Ladar and Chiram down to them. We're going to move them through Valadoon and try to use them to retake Black Alps or capture Jaburnia, while our army up here is threatening these forts. He has to kind of guess on which one I'm going to go for. I'm actually going to go for Mighty Pillars. I'm going to see if I can take Mighty Pillars while he's distracted, since this army in Golem range will have pretty beefy siege strength, over 200. Or just about 200, because the Bone Fiends are 2.3 apiece, so they're over 100. These guys are 1 apiece, so that's another 36, and then these guys are 3.6 apiece, so that's 10 between the 3 of them. So, yeah, in 2 turns they can crack a fort. Assuming this province defense is only quite well organized, it's not exceptionally powerful like this PD, and he'll probably try to draw his forces down into Raga to defend it. So we're just going to slip up there, hit the mighty pillars, cut his production, and hopefully, if he's lost a whole bunch of Savarans this turn to a clash with Phlegra, then I should be able to sweep him pretty well. We're still binding a whole bunch more bony boys. Got a whole lot of them rolling out, obviously. Gedalia, unfortunately, is going to be slightly behind the rest of the army because he's map move 10. And the reason he's map move 10 is that Gibbors are only map move 12, for one thing. And then he's also got this Zebulonite Hornblower. So, actually, let me check something real quick. If I drop the Hornblower, can he make it? No, he can't, so I might as well bring the Hornblower for the extra morale. So yeah, those guys will be one turn behind, but so we'll move there, we'll hit Mighty Pillars, and then we'll have the Gibbors move up to reinforce, just as Raga could react to us, and hopefully that will mean that we can actually take Mighty Pillars, capture that fort, and then that will give us a decisive advantage, because then we'll have 3 forts to Raga's 1, plus we'll have more income, obviously, and we'll have a spot from which we can capture Chilad and Eagle Reach Mountains and Searing Sands and all that. It'll be good. It'll be great. If we can manage that, then we'll actually be kind of like on the scoreboard-ish. But that's the plan. So, that's the turn 20 plan, and I'll see you all in turn 21 as we put it into practice. Okay, turn 21. As you can see, my surmise that Raga had lost their army in a terrible Phlegron accident was wrong. His whole army is here. He's pulled it all back to Raga. It says about 100 enemy units, which I'm not entirely sure I believe, but he has a lot for sure. This is a fairly substantial Gibbor detachment, but we're just falling back. We cannot possibly fight that right at the moment. We've also got about 100 units, but the average quality of our units and the resources represented by our units, much, much lower. We need to gather all of our troops into one ball and smash them against his ball. And it needs to be a pretty good size ball. I think if we can get just enough troops on the field, we'll be in decent shape. I'm gonna move these guys down here, I think, just to kind of threaten these provinces. They're not gonna be able to accomplish much. 48 flagellants, not so much. Even with Chiram blessing them, but they might be able to do something. I'm actually canceling almost all of my recruitment this turn, so that I can build a lab up here in Woods of Weeping. I've got 3 Issacharite Sibyls. It's several turns before I hit Alteration 5 still. My research, of course, has been crippled almost equal to everything else that I'm doing. So, I'm going to need to... I've got 3 Yadoni. One of them, actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move 1 Yadoni back here. I'm recruiting a scout because I need more scouts. We're going to cancel that Yadoni and get a Sibyl and a Sage again this turn. Several of my Sages have also died of disease, which of course has held me back. One of my Sages randomed Fire 1, which isn't super useful. It does mean actually it is somewhat useful because it means that he can summon lesser fire elementals because I have Conjuration level 3. Now lesser fire elementals have the fire shield and all that. They could be actually quite useful in this context. And I don't have a whole lot else to do with my fire gems right now, so we can do that. So Zariel's going to move up there. In terms of research, we've got another Sage coming out. That Sibyl will make 4. 4 Sibyls is enough to form a small communion in order to cast Wooden Warriors. Or Swarm. I am actually going to hit Swarm in like 2 or 3 turns. I'll probably move back here and set all these guys to research for a turn. All of my mages. And that will get me probably Alt 4. At that point, I actually can spam Swarm into combat, which could... Well, no, I can't because I don't have any nature gems. I'd have to alchemize a whole bunch of gems. But that might turn a battle in my favor. It could be worth doing because my main damage arm is actually the crossbows. I've got 36 crossbows there, 6 more crossbows there. I need to recruit more crossbows. So if I can get a whole group of crossbows up and running behind enough chaff, that could do. I didn't recruit any Gibbors last turn because I just didn't have the resources. Got some Levite Zealots so they can wither people, and a couple of Gittite soldiers plus another Zebulonite Hornblower. Got more of the Bone Fiends coming out, of course, just churning out Bone Fiends every turn, every single turn. They're better than nothing. And the goal here kind of is, well, I need to stay alive. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Raga's got 7 provinces compared to my 6 right now. So we're actually fairly evenly matched in terms of, like, resources and income and provinces and stuff. But I just don't know, guys. I'm hoping, I mean, over time, what will turn this in my favor, assuming that he doesn't manage to expand greatly, is that Bone Fiends don't have any upkeep. And so, hopefully, my upkeep is a lot lower than his, because he's recruiting a ton of Savaran Guard, who are expensive, and have pretty significant upkeep. If we look at them, their upkeep is 32 gold per year, so a little less than 3 per turn per Savaran Guard. So if he actually has like 50 Savaran Guard here, those alone are over 100, like 120, 130 per turn in upkeep. My total upkeep for my whole nation is 180. And then the Turin Heavy Infantry, I forget exactly how much they are. They're not expensive. Turin Heavy Infantry, 10 gold per year, so a little less than 1 per turn. But still, you see my point. And then, of course, he has his Zayedins. The Zayedins are fairly expensive. So I'm hoping that I can eventually win the upkeep war that way. Now, unfortunately, these Flagellants do cost some upkeep. Not a whole lot. It ends up being about 160 some a year for these 40. Actually, close to 200. So they're about, like, what, 15 turns, something like that. It's okay if they die, but I would like to use them as chaff with my Bless. Because, actually, no, I am going to gather them up in Woods of Weeping. Because with my Bless, they all wither. So if they die hitting Savaran Guard, that's fine. That works really well. And, of course, they have flails, so they've got 2 attacks, and they get +2 attack versus shields. So they're actually attack 11, and they get to swing twice. 6 attacks per square. They can actually inflict damage to Savaran Guard. And if they can wither them, then they'll die, and, you know, it's worth trading, like, several Flagellants for 1 Savaran Guard, even without considering the fact that I actually didn't recruit or pay for these guys. I just got them randomly. So, yeah, I think we'll gather up all our armies here. When we gather up all our armies, we'll have the Flagellants, which we will give to Auntie Entity as a squad. We'll have the Gibbors. We'll have about 48, almost 50 crossbows. We'll also have 40-some Bone Fiends. I may wait 1 more turn to bring up another 26 Bone Fiends plus the troops recruited down here. So these guys plus another 13 Bone Fiends. And then that army... yeah, I'm not quite sure. The fortress will be upgraded next turn, so that will increase our income a little bit. It will once again cut down our resources in Gath. And our resources in Gath are already not impressive, so we're not going to be churning out a lot more Gibbors. But it will increase our resources and recruitment points in Woods of Weeping so that we can increase crossbow production. And once again, as I said, crossbows are kind of our heaviest hitting military arm at the moment. So here's hoping. And yeah, like I said, probably 2 or 3 turns to Alteration level 4, I'm sorry. At which point Swarm becomes a possibility. And a couple of turns, a few turns after that, like probably 4 or 5 turns after that, before Alteration 5, at which point we can cast Wooden Warriors on our Bone Fiends, which will make them a lot more effective. Having Prot 10 instead of Prot 0 will make them a lot more effective. Now, actually, I can actually already cast Protection, which hits a square, and is fairly long range. It has range 20. So what these guys can do is they can cast or luck. No, it doesn't affect undead or inanimate. So they can cast personal luck and then spam protection. Yeah, that will actually be highly effective. That would actually be really good. Because if I can spam yeah, just spamming Bark Skin onto as many Bone Fiends as possible if I can get it on them. They have fairly high hit. I mean, they have 15 hit points each. And just upping the prot of anybody and everybody that I can will be very useful, because these guys in melee, the Savarna guards are quite, tough. But at range, he's having them sit back and fire before they go into melee. Those are just arrows. High prot defeats those entirely. So just having higher prot will definitely help. So honestly, let's move these guys up there. I've already got one lady up there, so that'll be 3. So those 3 can protect 3 squares per turn. That could be very good. And it would also be good on the Flagellants, because the Flagellants, of course, also have 0 protection. But they have less hit points. So I would prefer not if I don't have to. And they tend to start with, like I said, they start with all these afflictions. Mostly, it looks like these guys all started with... No, not all of them. A lot of them start with never healing wounds. That guy's a limp. Yeah, so, I would much rather have the protection going down on either Bone Fiends or on Gibbors, even though they're only 1 per square. Dropping Natprot 10 on a Gibbor boosts his total protection up to about 18, which is a fairly reasonable increase in survivability. So, that's where we are. I still think I can win this. It'll be kind of rough. The question is just, I can't take any risks right now. I have to play this very smart and very safe, because the person who overextends and loses an army next is probably going to lose the whole thing. Probably so. So yeah, that's where I am. We're just going to sit tight. We're going to stick to it, and we're going to see what we can do to build up our troops for a couple more turns. And then we're going to go in with protection and a little bit of fire elemental backup if we at all can. Shiloh can also cast lesser fire elementals. He's been throwing Bonds of Fire, which is fine. Bonds of Fire helped. But I think lesser fire elementals would probably be more useful. So that'll be the plan. And I'll see you all in turn 22. And see how it goes. Sloth 3 Gath still in it. 21 turns of the wilderness can't stop us. We'll get it done. Take care.